Families are strange ecosystems. Everyone has a role, sometimes chosen, sometimes assigned. There's the nurturer, the rebel, the peacemaker, and then there's the star. In my family, the star was my older sister, Monica. My name is Natalie Brooks, and for as long as I can remember, I've lived in Monica's gravity. She was the daughter people bragged about at dinner parties. Monica didn't just win spelling bees, she organized them. She didn't just go to college. She went to Yale and double majored. Every year, she seemed to level up like a character in a video game, while I hovered somewhere in the background, invisible. Growing up, I remember coming home with a decent report card, mostly B's, a few A's. I was proud. I had worked hard. My mom glanced at the grades, smiled distractedly, and said, "That's nice, sweetie. Did you see Monica got into the honors research program?" Cue spotlight shift. At first, I convinced myself it didn't matter. I wasn't interested in spreadsheets and suits the way Monica was. I loved capturing moments, sunlight through windows, real smiles, messy humanity. Photography became my escape. While Monica climbed the ladder, I found joy in the little things, the real things. But real doesn't shine the way packaged perfection does. Our parents never said it outright, but the difference was clear. Monica was the investment. I was the nice surprise if I did anything remotely impressive. Years passed. Monica became the VP of some sleek-sounding firm in San Francisco. She gave talks at conferences, had a Pinterest-perfect apartment with a minimalist aesthetic and an espresso machine that probably cost more than my rent. Meanwhile, I stayed in our hometown and opened a photography studio. Small, modest, but mine. I built it from the ground up. Booked weddings, captured births, shot portraits for people who cried when they saw the final prints. It wasn't glamorous, but it mattered. Still, every time there was a family dinner or holiday gathering, it was the Monica show. Did you see Monica in that Forbes article? She's flying to Zurich next month. She's mentoring young women in tech. The praise was endless. Like her entire existence was wrapped in gold foil. One night changed everything. It was a Sunday. Mom had made her famous meatloaf. We were all gathered around the table, me, Monica, our parents, and Uncle James, who always wore socks with sandals and asked wildly inappropriate questions. Mom clinked her glass and smiled. Everyone, a quick toast to Monica. She just launched the international branch of her company and received an innovation award. "We're so proud of you, honey." Everyone applauded. I tried to too, but something in me stalled. Because I'd read the same press release she posted on LinkedIn earlier that week. Word for word. And it wasn't her award. It wasn't her launch. It was a generic announcement made by her company's real VP. I recognized his name. I interned at that company briefly during college. I looked around the table, waiting for someone else to say it, to notice. No one did. I cleared my throat. Wait. Monica, didn't that announcement come from James Larkin? The VP? I think he. Monica didn't miss a beat. She flashed her practice smile and said, "James and I worked closely on it. I was integral to the expansion. It was a team effort, but I was the lead on logistics." Her voice was smooth, confident. So confident it made me question what I knew. Mom's eyes flicked to me. That look. The same one she used to give me when I got too loud as a child or brought home the wrong kind of friends. The look that meant, don't ruin her moment. So I sat back, silent. But inside, I was unraveling. It wasn't just this one lie. It was the accumulation of years. Years of swallowing truths to keep the peace. Years of letting her take the stage while I handed her the microphone. And now, she was lying and everyone was clapping. That night, after helping clean up dishes no one remembered to thank me for, I went home, locked the door to my tiny studio apartment, and pulled out an old shoebox of childhood photos. There we were, Monica in her debate club blazer, me with paint on my cheeks from art class. Monica holding a science fair ribbon, me photographing a butterfly. Two girls raised in the same home, told the same stories, but one was taught to shine, and the other to stay in the shadows. I stared at myself in those pictures and whispered, "You deserved better." And then, I did something I hadn't done in years. I stood up for myself, but silently for now. I began digging. Not out of jealousy, but out of clarity. I needed to know the truth, not just about Monica's stories, but about how much of my life had been shaped by her fiction. And I knew, deep in my bones, that the next time she lied, she wouldn't get away with it. Because this time, the shadow was stepping into the light. I used to think of Monica's success like a skyscraper, impressive, intimidating, built with steel and glass. Untouchable. But when you knock on the walls long enough, sometimes you realize they're just hollow. After that family dinner, I couldn't let it go. I tried. I told myself to stay in my lane, focus on my clients, edit my backlog, book more weddings. But every time I saw Monica's smug smile in my head, accepting praise for things she didn't do, I felt that slow burn of injustice rise in my chest. So I started to pay attention. Not the passive, little sister kind of attention I'd grown used to giving her. No, intentional attention. I created a folder on my computer called Shine and Shadows. Every time Monica posted something questionable, I took a screenshot. Every article, every keynote announcement, every LinkedIn post where she claimed something that didn't quite add up, I saved it. At first, I felt crazy. Obsessive. Like I was becoming the bitter sibling who couldn't let go. But then, the evidence started stacking up. She wasn't just embellishing. She was fabricating. That guest lecturer at Berkeley badge she wore with pride? I emailed the department. They'd never heard of her. That Tech Innovators of the Year article? It was a pay-to-publish blog she submitted herself to, not a vetted award. The mentorship nonprofit she talked about in her speeches didn't even have a website. I checked the IRS database. No filings. It didn't exist. And the thing that shocked me most? No one was checking. Her lies lived comfortably in the gray areas of success, just believable enough to pass. Just polished enough that people wanted to believe her. Especially my parents. One night, I sat across from Dad at a coffee shop and gently tried to bring it up. Dad, have you ever asked Monica about some of her, achievements? Like where they come from? He furrowed his brow. What do you mean? I mean, have you ever verified any of it? She's saying she's doing all these huge things, but I don't think they're real. He shook his head, not angrily, just dismissively. You sound jealous, Nat. Monica works hard. She's just better at promoting herself. There it was. The sentence that every overlooked sibling hears at least once. I didn't argue. I just smiled, sipped my coffee, and mentally crossed my father off the list of people I could trust with the truth. That same night, Monica called me. Hey, Nat, she said sweetly. I saw your new maternity shoot on Instagram. So cute. Still doing the small town stuff, huh? There it was again, that passive-aggressive dig, wrapped in sugar. Still faking your resume? I said before I could stop myself. Dead silence. Excuse me? I know about the award. The fake mentorship group. The university thing. You're not fooling everyone. Her voice changed. Cold. Controlled. You're misinformed. And if you go around telling people things like that, you'll only embarrass yourself. You've always had this complex about me. I can't help that I'm successful. I laughed, bitterly. You're not successful, Monica. You're just louder than the people who actually are. She hung up. That night, I didn't sleep. Not out of guilt, out of clarity. I'd spent my whole life minimizing myself so Monica could shine brighter. But now I could see it clearly. Her light was manufactured. Fragile. Built on borrowed bulbs. I thought about going public. Writing an anonymous blog. Posting the receipts. But that felt too easy. Too cheap. I didn't want petty revenge. I wanted truth to find her in the one place she couldn't hide, the public stage she built for herself. And that's when the opportunity landed in my inbox. A former high school classmate sent a mass email about a Women in Business gala happening in our hometown. The speaker? The honoree? Monica Brooks. There it was, her final act. And mine. Because this time, Monica wouldn't be the only one holding the mic. The irony of it all was that Monica always said, "You can't compete with me. I'm in a different league." She was right about one thing. I wasn't competing. I was watching, carefully, patiently. and I was waiting for the perfect moment to let the truth speak for itself. It came wrapped in velvet and catered hors d'oeuvres. The Women in Business Gala was a polished affair held in the ballroom of the Grand Evermore Hotel. White linens, gold accents, flutes of champagne balanced in gloved hands. I arrived alone, wearing a deep emerald gown and heels that pinched, but I stood tall. My heart thudded in my chest like a slow drum, but my face was composed. I wasn't there as the forgotten sister. I was there as the truth Monica hoped no one would ever see. She entered fashionably late, of course. Monica always timed her entrances like they were stage cues. She wore a silver gown that shimmered under the chandeliers and held a crystal clutch like a prop. She moved through the crowd like a celebrity, hugging old classmates, smiling for photos, soaking in admiration. I stood off to the side, clutching my envelope, sealed, thick with printed evidence, her fake articles, screenshots, confirmation emails, timelines that didn't line up. No drama, no sensationalism, just facts. The MC called the room to attention. And now, for the highlight of the evening, our honoree. A woman who exemplifies leadership, innovation, and vision. Please welcome, Monica Brooks. Applause exploded. Monica took the stage with her signature poise, brushing back a perfect wave of highlighted hair. As she reached the podium, I moved. Calmly, deliberately, I walked toward the edge of the stage and handed a manila envelope to the event coordinator, an older woman with red glasses and a skeptical smile. I leaned in and said, "You'll want to read that before you announce the award. It's important." She gave me a look, half suspicion, half curiosity, and nodded. I returned to the back of the room just as Monica tapped the microphone. "I'm so honored to be here tonight," she began, "because for women like us, who fight to be taken seriously, it means everything to be recognized." The coordinator whispered something into the MC's ear. His face changed. He cleared his throat and stepped forward. "Before we proceed," he said, voice tight with discomfort, "we've received information that requires immediate attention. In light of new documents provided, we are temporarily suspending the award presentation pending verification of the honoree's credentials." A ripple of gasps rolled across the room. You could feel the energy shift. Whispers. Phones lifted under tables. Eyes flicking between the envelope and Monica's pale face. Monica froze. Her mouth opened, then closed. Her skin flushed beneath her makeup, and for the first time in her entire life, she had nothing to say. She looked directly at me, her eyes sharp and stunned. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just held her gaze. It wasn't vengeance I felt. It was justice. And an eerie kind of peace. Because it was never about tearing her down. It was about finally breaking the mirror she forced the rest of us to reflect her in. She stepped away from the podium without a word. No applause. Just the sound of quiet collapse. I walked out before the fallout began. The ballroom behind me felt like a stage I'd exited for the last time. Outside, it was raining lightly. I lifted my face to the sky and let it fall. It didn't feel like a storm. It felt like a baptism, a cleansing. That night, I didn't post anything online. I didn't send any follow-up emails. I just went home, changed into pajamas, and lit a candle. I sat at my desk, opened a fresh album of raw photos I'd been meaning to edit for weeks, and smiled. Because for the first time, the most powerful thing in the room wasn't Monica's performance. It was my silence breaking wide open. They say the truth sets you free, but they never tell you how lonely freedom can feel at first. The morning after the gala, I woke up to my phone vibrating with unread messages. Missed calls from numbers I hadn't seen since high school. A handful of DMs, some curious, some defensive. And then silence from Monica. No apology. No explanation. Not even an attempt to spin the fallout. She disappeared from social media within 24 hours. The gala committee quietly released a statement. After further review, we have rescinded the award to Monica Brooks due to significant discrepancies in her professional history. They didn't name me. They didn't need to. I wasn't looking for credit. I just wanted to breathe. But here's what I didn't expect: my parents' reaction. They didn't call to thank me or apologize. Instead, I got a carefully worded email from my mother. Natalie, I hope you feel better about what you did. Monica has always had ambition. Maybe she got a little carried away, but airing family matters in public wasn't fair to her. Or us. That hit harder than I wanted to admit. I stared at the screen, rereading the word us like I'd committed some act of betrayal instead of revealing a lifetime of manufactured brilliance. That's when it finally clicked. They didn't care that Monica lied. They cared that I interrupted the illusion. For years, our family clung to her image like a life raft, proof that they had done something right, raised someone exceptional. Challenging her was like pointing out a leak in the raft. They'd rather sink in denial than admit it wasn't seaworthy to begin with. And yet, I felt light. Lighter than I had in years. Because this time, I hadn't swallowed my voice. This time, I didn't dim so someone else could shine. 3 weeks later, my photography studio was busier than ever. Something unexpected had happened after the gala. People reached out, not because they wanted gossip, but because they saw me. Old clients referred new ones. A journalist asked to interview me, not about Monica, but about my work, for storytelling. Someone tagged me in a post. She captures the truth in people, and I think she just proved she lives by it, too. It was subtle, but powerful. I had stepped into my story. Not Monica's shadow version. Mine. I never spoke to her again. Not directly. But I did see her name once more. 6 months later, her LinkedIn quietly updated. No more awards, no more invented titles. Just freelance consultant, career coaching. She had downsized her spotlight. And maybe learned how to live without it. Last month, I held an exhibit in a little gallery downtown. Black and white portraits lined the walls. Women of all ages. Raw and unfiltered. Stretch marks, tear-streaked mascara, belly laughs, scars. All of it. I called the show unpolished. The room was packed. No glitz, no pretense. Just people being real. At the end of the night, a woman in her 60s came up to me. She held my hand and said, I was the Monica in my family, and I hated every second of it. No one ever told me it was okay to just be enough. Her voice cracked. You did something important. And I realized then, this was never about revenge. It was about reclaiming truth in a world obsessed with performance. And for the first time, I didn't envy Monica's spotlight. Because I'd built something better. A life that didn't need applause to feel real. A light that didn't need someone else to be dimmed. My name is Natalie Brooks. And I am no longer the girl in the background of someone else's story. I'm the author now. Thank you so much for listening to my story. Your support means everything. If this story touched you or made you think, please subscribe to our channel for more real, powerful stories.